Woke up late, charts on fire, red and green like a funeral pyre. Discord screaming LFG, but my portfolio's haunting me. Spiked my coffee with regret. Last night I longed to break out bet. Now I'm broke, not broken yet. Just one more pump, I won't forget. Buy high, die huddling. The 10 brain dopamine's controlling. Ride the whale or get wrecked clean. This crypto dream's a guillotine. Fake guru with 1,000 subs showed me coins in shady clubs. Promised moons, Lambos and jets. Now I'm left with JPEGs and debts. Scalped my soul in a 5-minute chart. Market dumped and it ripped my heart. But I'll reload, I'll play to win. Even if I lose it all again. Buy high, die huddling. Gas fees burn, but I keep rolling. FOMO's gone, greed's the king. This crypto dream's a punk rock thing. Time in hands with the crack in the glass. Risk it all, no brakes, full gas. Liquidation, call me sweet. Whisper welcome to defeat. No stop loss, no regrets. Code and chaos, no safety nets. Satoshi's ghost in my DMs told me to ape again and again. Buy high, die huddling. Gas fees burn, but I keep rolling. If I crash, at least I tried. In this wild west of blockchain rights. I'll be trading till the lights go out. Charts are noise, but I live for the sound. One candle spike, and I'm back in town. Crypto's a fight, and I'm 10 toes down. Diamond hands with the crack in the glass. Risk it all, no brakes, full gas. But I'll reload, I play to win. Even if I lose it all again. Woke up late, charts on fire, red and green like a funeral pyre. Discord screaming LFG, but my portfolio's haunting me. Spiked my coffee with regret. Last night I longed to break out bet. Now I'm broke, not broken yet. Just one more pump, I won't forget. Buy high, die huddling. The 10 brain dopamine's controlling. Ride the whale or get wrecked clean. This crypto dream's a guillotine.
What's up, guys? How's it going? Hope we have an awesome morning so far. Bitcoin is getting ready for a potential good move. Otherwise, we're going down. And I'll explain everything in a moment. But let's check out the chat and see how everyone's doing here. We got Andrew. What's up, man? Just talking to you in the chat there. I got Coma, Mikey, Sterling. How you doing, Sterling? Ramus. Good morning, man. Okay, so we're gonna kind of talk quick because I only got about half an hour or so. So I'm gonna go through all of Bitcoin's price action and why I think that this is a key moment for Bitcoin based on all the confluences that we have so far. So you can see based on my drawings that I got on the screen, we did just sweep a key level at 90,065. And at that level, we had the confluence of bouncing off of a volume shelf from our 56-day range. So right here, you can see that we got our volume shelf. We've interacted with this volume shelf in the form of support and resistance through here and support again. And now we're coming down and we just tested support for, I don't know, like the 20th time. Like we've been dancing around this area a lot. But the downside is if we look at like lower time frames, we have just lost the uptrending momentum that has been holding us up since the start of this 56-day range, right? In this, well, I guess the trend line now is about 60 days old. So we need to try to get back above that. And if we do get it back above that, we'd have a lot of confluence for a long. And I'll explain to you why in a moment. So here we have our 15-minute orb range, right? This is the first 15-minute candle that opens during the New York session. It kind of helps guide you into knowing how algorithmic market makers might be programmed for that day. So right now it's kind of telling us a story that it might be bearish, but when certain levels break, you can't really stop all the trade participants, right? That's why confluences are so important. We talked about that during our trade hunting call this morning, where like think of each confluence as a different wave of traders that could participate in an entry, right? So if you stack a bunch of confluences together, you have a higher probability of a larger amount of trade participants agreeing with your idea, and then you can use all those traders' liquidity as a tool to help drive the price towards your target. So we got that sweep, but I'm not really convinced yet that we're going up. We had the momentary pump, of course, but what we really need to see have happen is a candle close above 91,415. If we get that, then we get the confluence of getting a bearish change of character again. Bullish change of character again on the 15-minute, a break of downtrending momentum. We have the confluence of getting back above the VWAP, the confluence of getting back above the 56-day POC, and the confluence of being above the newly formed open range, the 15-minute open range here. So we got basically the world screaming at us, telling us that if we break this level with a candle body close, that we could be starting to come up towards our next barrier concern. Unfortunately, the barrier concern is pretty close to us, but our hourly strong high is way up here at 93,380. So if we mitigate this, this is going to be our primary concern here, and breaking that level would give us confluence for a stronger continuation, because then we'd have an hourly bullish change of character, and we back above the point of control, which would protect our capital, and we back above the momentum, which would also protect our capital in our setup. This SFP is technically the front run entry, but it comes with higher risk because we have the previous lows right here in our face and the orb right here in our face too. So basically 3 forms of confluence that could keep us from going up. So taking this trade, it comes with a lot of risk. So you'd have to give it, I would say, more breathing room than you would traditionally would with an SFP. So if you don't like this setup, this sweep, if you didn't take it, the next opportunity could be we come down after hitting our head where we are right now and sweeping the level at 89,797, right? If we sweep that level, then we have a local SFP, assuming we get a proper pullback. We need one more green candle to define that as an SFP. If we get that sweep, that could be a good front run entry to this bullish change of character here, and then we can start looking towards the stars again. Congratulations to anyone who took that wild SFP that we went through yesterday's live. We had a short on the 3-minute time frame when we caught what I didn't expect to be the absolute top, but became the absolute top. What I was kind of on the fence about was the fact that we had a bunch of pooled liquidity here, and we didn't really have very many evidence of it being protected in the order books. So what I was hoping for was a retest, a sweep of that liquidity, another SFP, and then come down. But it only gave us one chance. The second chance may have been the 786 pullback. When you pull a fib from this high to this low, We came and hit our gold pocket, our 76 zone, and then came down with a good confluence of the 97-day previous value low. We lost our momentum like we expected to, and then this was the target down here. But we went beyond that target so far, and now roughly where that target is basically where our supply became generated to induce this neckline that we've got here, induce this pullback, and now we're using that same level to prepare for our long setup again. So I'm pretty excited for a potential strong bullish reaction from this, just because of the amount of confluences that we have stacked there. By the time we get it, VWAP might catch up a little bit more to the price action. This is where the VWAP is right now at 91,162. But as every candle that closes, the VWAP is slowly going to catch up the price action, and we might be able to use it for a front run entry prior to 91,415 breaking, right? So we'll see what the structure gives us here, but we're at a key moment. Why this is so important is, like I said before, we lost that momentum. We've already gotten acceptance into the 56-day value area, which is pretty darn bearish. A lot of traders, once they saw this break of structure, this gave us acceptance into the value area, like proper acceptance into the value area. And when you have that, you assume that price action is going to rotate back down to the value area low and that right now is at 87,250 area. If we zoom out a little bit, one thing that's protecting us from that from occurring is the fact that we have like this double distribution value area. Whenever you see this B pattern in the value area, you got to assume like that there's almost like there's two strong value areas within this macro value area. And we can see that we've ranged here for a long time to create this volume node, and we ranged here and here to help create this one. So we got to kind of pretend as if there's two strong value areas within this. Well, we don't have to pretend. It's actually, it's occurring. It's happening. So you got to think of this volume shelf like it's its own value area low. So this is an area where you can prepare to be bullish. And that's why I'm kind of hoping that we get the structure that we need to get the evidence that this is going to be support and return us back up to the value area high at $91,000 or basically $93,000, right? Sorry for all my scribbles here. Let me just delete all this. Okay. So I'm excited for a good trade today. Hopefully the market structure agrees and gives us the evidence that we can jump into a long. And that's all we're really lacking. We got the SFP, which is great. We might be getting a 4-hour SFP in about 16 minutes, which has the same like target area of that 93K. So that'll be good confluence to drive the price up to. So we're basically sweeping this like legacy level, and we're hoping that it drives the price up towards technical targets to start a cascade effect to bring us back up to the value area high. So that's my trade plan for the day. I know I rushed through that pretty quick. I hope that all makes sense to you guys. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask them in the chat. There's no such thing as a dumb question. Nothing in trading is common sense. I try to tell people that. You shouldn't feel hesitant to ask questions, no matter how beginner level you might think that they are, right? You're not in this alone. That's what this channel is all about. Right now we're hitting our head off of that 15-minute orb. We mitigated lower time frame supply concerns like the 3-minute and the 5-minute that came in confluence with us testing this level. So we're kind of getting that inverse head and shoulders painted picture so far. How we could prepare for price action to behave. I keep pressing that button, man. I gotta stop doing that. We got a 5-minute order block right below our feet, right? At 90,364. We're about $40 away from testing it. That could induce a bounce. Then if we get a break of structure here internally, right? Get that break of structure, and then we can start riding up towards the orb high. And we just got to watch the VWAP as a form of confluence for resistance, because we can see that VWAP is pretty flush with the momentum right now. Like this is the momentum line and the orb high. So we got to watch that confluence originally as a form of resistance, but getting above that VWAP and above that orb, we are very, very likely going to get that key level break at 91,415 and derive the price up from there. So what we're kind of banking on right now is front run structure. Like if we get a bullish change of character down here, a break of the downtrending momentum that we've developed since we dropped from our last SFP trade setup. So if we get the front run, it could come in the form of another local SFP, but so far, at least on the 15-minute time frame, we don't have a proper pullback, right? We just have one green candle. We need to have 2 consecutive green candles and then come down, sweep the low, and close back above the wick, and we have a good local SFP to front run the move. But if you do that front run, you have to watch the orb low, which is at 90,614, as a form of confluence for a potential exit plan, right? But if we break above that, we could get a bullish change of character and confluence with acceptance into the orb to front run this break right here. Hey, dude, what VWAP do you use? And specific settings, maybe. Thanks. There's only one true VWAP. So when you look up indicators and you type in VWAP, you'll see volume weighted average price created by TradingView themselves. So I just used that one, just the basic VWAP. Now in terms of the settings, I can pull that up here for you. It's not secret knowledge or anything like that. But we have just a standard setup, man. You can hide it on the daily or above because that's redundant. You don't need to know what the VWAP looks like at the daily time frame or higher. So you can click on that. And I know that doesn't sound like much, but it does help with your the data that's being used on your charts. Now, I do have some unique settings for my multiplier for certain unique setups like SFPs, like 2.2 deviation level. I really like for SFPs. So if we have the confluence of tapping that level and getting an SFP candle, it's great, especially when you combine it with the MFI being oversold or overbought. We built a whole strategy off of that, actually. So this is the basic settings. The style is a little bit different. I just made mine orange, so it's like easier for me to see. I like using dark backgrounds so it doesn't destroy my eyes when I'm trading. Like all those White Phoenix traders, I don't get how they're able to visually see their screen without burning their eyes out. But yeah, this is the basic settings, man. Digging the lessons so far, Beard Mike. Nice, man. I love that. Yeah, there's a lot of a lot to learn there. We're constantly improving it. And if there's something in the course that you wish was in there, I'm one message away, and I will try to get that added there for you. And if I don't know what you're asking, I will go out and learn it for you and make sure I can explain it at like a kind of like a beginner-friendly kind of way. Because I can't assume that I know everything, especially in this space when things are constantly evolving. Who else we got in the chat? Melissa, always positive vibes. Awesome. Hey, Kyle, thanks. Need to hear that. Right on. What's up, Wagner? Wagner was partying with his friends last night until like 3:30 in the morning. Those are the days. I got kids now, so that's not possible. But I was up till 1 a.m. last night. Awesome video you had on backtesting. Oh, thanks, man. We got a little more detail in the course on that. But yeah, backtesting is so important. It could turn you into a profitable trader like 5 times faster than even a coach could get you there sometimes. Like if you know how to do proper backtesting and you just, that's how I was taught for most of my stuff. Like I would say about 70% of what I learned was from backtesting. First, I did every single double bottom. Like, how did we react to a double bottom? Like, what's the probability of us losing? Does a change of character double bottom matter more than just an ascending double bottom, right? Stuff like that. And confluences that you can stack on top of changes of character too. Like, which ones matter the most? What are my macro views? Do you call the top? Did I call the top already? I did not call the top already. I do not believe that we're at the top. If we look at on-chain data, it suggests that currently, right now, we are actually at bear market bottom conditions, which is insane to me. Like, I find that bizarre. Like, our conditions right now are the same as if we were, let me just zoom out on the daily here for you. Back, where is October 2023? Yeah, our conditions right now are the exact same as if we were right here, on-chain wise. Like, what's going on in the background is basically the same as this period of time. Back when we were at $32,400. It's bizarre. So that tells you a story about how much of the funds have been transferred from old hands to new hands, right? So we have people that are holding a large, like about 30% of the supply right now is being held at a loss. And that's a lot considering the price tag that we're at right now compared to what we were at like not too long ago, like a couple of years ago. I'm still holding my position from 16.9K. I will not sell it until all the on-chain rules tell me that we're at the top. Now, we do have some scary things that suggest that we might be at the top structurally, but back-end on-chain analytics suggest the opposite right now. In fact, it's telling us that our next spot where we're expected to be overheated again, and not dramatically overheated, just if you go to the Nupal chart, you'll see that around 160K, 150K is going to be the next area where we might get a strong pullback again. And from where we are, that's a big pump. So what I'm trying to say is, like, in terms of spot accumulation, like where we're currently at is decent for like a longer term hold, like 1 to 2 years. And we might even get a better, based on what happens even today. Today might tell us a story that we might be coming back down to around 87K to 80K again. So that's why I titled today's video that it's an important level, because we're at that like make it or break it kind of moment. We either recover here after grabbing a bunch of liquidity, or we close below this volume gap. Let me just pull this back up on the larger time frames again, which I've got labeled right now at 89,750. But if we close below that, we do have a decent amount of support at like 89,180 that could potentially keep us up. I don't know if you guys remember this amazing trading period that we had for about a few weeks. We're fighting against this volume shelf resistance, which gave us great confidence for shorts when we built this local range. Now that area could protect us from going down lower. But if we get acceptance back inside of this valley area that starts at 89,150, if we get a close in there that'll break a structure, we'll fall. We'll definitely fall right down to like 87, 86. So we're at a make it or break it kind of moment right now. But the evidence right now says bearish. So we're kind of hoping for some important key levels to break to prevent us from going down any further. Because when we got acceptance here at like 93K into the valley, this macro valley area, and then we had that follow-up break of structure, I guarantee you a bunch of valley area traders jumped in a short there, and they're crossing their fingers right at this moment right now. This is their moment where they would decide, should I keep my trade active or should I get out? And if we break the key level that we're watching, they're going to get out, right? Or they'll accept a loss. Like some people just hold their trades until they lose. You got to be hyper aware of like the key levels that could cause your trade to start to go against you. And if anyone's in a short, even from the one that we took yesterday, if you're if you got in during that 3-minute SFP that we took, this is a moment where like you should consider to prepare to take profits. Let's see what we got in the chat here. Thanks so much. No problem, man. Master, do you take note of last week's highs and lows? Yeah. Sometimes they're important to keep track of. I'd say always do it for good practice. But sometimes I'll just look at the active structure. I've got a really good indicator to help me like get rid of a lot of that work, so it makes me a little bit more lazy. I use 11 axis market structure indicator. That's why you're seeing all these breaks of structure drawings, SFP drawings that are all done accurately. A lot of market structure indicators don't do it accurately, but the downside with this one is it comes with the price tag, right? And in my opinion, it's worth the price tag. Go back to the chat. Wagner, yeah, haven't happened since a long time, especially Monday evening. Yeah. That's why I'm confused. Structure-wise, I think we're more downside. Yeah, hourly we're bearish. We had I think we had like a weekly SFP. But yeah, I know what you mean, man. Yeah, structurally we're bearish. And this is why we're using the 15-minute time frame. So this is like a front run to the hourly, front run to the 4-hour, right? It all starts by micro-analyzing stuff. Just like our other short that we had here, this all began with a 3-minute or a 15-minute SFP for this drop, right? So you can really drill down into lower time frames to give yourself like a super early entry. And I'm not saying using the 15 minutes is going to give you that super early entry, but it's going to give you a reliable one because there's a lot of trade participants that make their decisions based on the 15-minute and the hourly. And the 15-minute is think of it like a fractal of an hourly. For every 4 15-minute candles, you're going to have an hour, right? So sometimes when you have a 15-minute candle close, you're going to have the confluence of the hourly close every 4th candle. And that makes a difference when you have a key level break. If you have a key level that breaks and it happens to also close simultaneously alongside like a higher time frame like the hourly or the 4-hour, you'll likely get more trade participants that way, jumping in on your trade idea. Every time frame will tell you a story, but the lower time frames dissect the story a lot more. So if you have a doji candle, I always recommend, if you have a doji candle, to dissect that candle in the lower time frame because it's always going to be an incomplete confirmation of a continuation, just like this one that we had right here, right? We had an incomplete confirmation of a continuation or a reversal, and we had that continuation right here. And if you zoom in, it was a bit of a ping pong effect, but because it was a wild doji. So this was the kind of like the doji effect here. We came up, we came down to roughly around here. Oh no, we came down, and this is where we had what we needed to have happen after this is a close below this, and that's when we got the bearish change of character to drive the price down to our next key level. Now that we're at the 3-minute time frame, we could see that Bitcoin's getting that inverse head and shoulders behavior that we kind of predicted so far, right? We were talking about price action coming up and bouncing off this 5-minute order block, and now we just need that higher high above 90,700. What was that? 90,767 or 75 here. It's good to get your horizontal ray and get your magnet tool out so you can cling it right to the price action so you can see the price tag. So getting a close above this would give us that break of structure and acceptance back inside of the 15-minute orb to increase our probability of at least driving us back up to the VWAP here, right? And you could use this as a front run opportunity to our key level up here, but you're jumping in knowing that there's barriers right in your face. So make sure you're hyper aware. So if you have any opposing confluences, like a bearish change of character, and you might not get that kind of structure fast enough when it's that close to your entry, But if you get an SFP here, you could always take some profits. That SFP could happen at 91,339 and have acceptance back inside the orb and that SFP close below the VWAP, then we're likely going to drive ourselves right back down to the orb low at 90,600. Sorry, getting close there, guys. Yeah, if you use the code InvestiShare with 11x, you guys will save some money. So you get 10% off. Thanks, Sterling, for sharing that link to everyone there. Okay, well, I've got to head out, guys. On just so you're aware, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm going to have a hard stop around like 11ish, just because I do kickboxing with my wife on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Right when I get back, though, I'll keep you guys informed in the Discord. But yeah, every day this week now, every day going forward, between Monday and Friday at 10:30 a.m., I'll be doing lives. But yeah, my Tuesdays and Thursdays are not very time flexible. So just a quick recap. What we really want to see have happen today, like sooner the better, is a close above 91,100 and let me just get this magnet tool off. Yeah, $91,415.90. If we get a close above that, we have the confluence getting back above that 56-day POC. We get above the VWAP, we get back above the momentum, and we break downtrending momentum. Right? So this is a high confluence area for a good recovery. Our barrier concern will be the supply concern right here. It's a zone that starts at 92,118 and ends around 92,850. It comes with the confluence of the 50-day EMA being in there as well. So we have to watch this like a hawk and really hope that we get above that 50-day EMA. So we have a higher probability chance of mitigating the supply and then getting our hourly break right here. And I do believe that's a 4-hour break as well. Let me just zoom out just to make sure. I could be wrong on that. It's no. It's internal. But if we get that break, then yeah, we'll have a 4-hour internal structure agreeing with us. We get internal change of character. And we have an hour order block up there too. So this would be a good first step. And then getting a break above like 93,400 would be an amazing second step to bring us towards our next barrier at 94,850. We'll get there. Either way, this is going to be a good setup. If we're forced out at the supply, we'll likely capture, depending on where you enter, it could be a 1-to-1, but you'll still have some breathing room to prepare for that exit plan if things start to go south and capture at least some small profits. Unless you got in on this SFP, then you could be up quite a bit right now already. Well, I wouldn't say already, but once we get the acceptance back above the VWAP, it could be a good spot to prepare for some take profits. All right, guys. All right, you have yourself an amazing day. Reach out to me if you need any help with anything, and I'll see you in the next live tomorrow. Thanks, guys.